Alright, so welcome to another video from the chart readers. It's been a while since I've talked about the major markets, and really this used to be the bread and butter. I've gotten a lot of good responses and views from those sector ticker specific videos, so I wanted to come back here really because there's been a good amount of action, and today was a pretty wild day across all three. So as we normally do, we're going to start on the NASDAQ. We're looking at the daily. We're going to talk about the moving averages as well as our horizontal lines. And then we'll get to these later. We're going to hide the lower indicators for now. So a lot has happened. And like I said, it's been a good while since I've made this video. So honestly, there's a lot I want to talk about, and let's get going. We'll start with the two horizontal lines like we normally do. So the great thing is, if you still reference the last video, they are still relevant, right? These two lines are seemingly looking like our main channel, right? I've talked about that 11.5 and 11.3 line. Those are kind of the sub-channel lines in this thing, but nonetheless, these are the original lines, and they could still be, and I hope they still are, guiding you through all this action, right? It's easy to see it. We're definitely closer to this 12.2 number than this horrible 10.8 number. And really, we've been closer to 12.2 than 10.8 for almost a week and a half, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, basically the last 7 trading days, a week and a half. We've been at least at 11.5 or up, right? That's an amazing thing. So there were definitely points where it seemed like this 10.8 number was right around the corner, but this is somewhat of a distant past. And really, yesterday's scare and today's answer kind of goes back to that, hey, I don't know if this 10.8 number is gonna get hit, right? At this point, I see more positivity going up than down. Yesterday, if I made this video, I'll be honest, I don't think I would have seen that, right? Yesterday, there was a lot of fear in the market. Walmart, maybe the biggest retailer in the nation, they basically said they're gonna get their numbers wrong. So they haven't released their earnings yet. I don't know if they did that today. But yesterday they said, hey, look, we said it was gonna be a pretty low loss. It's actually going to be a pretty bad loss. And really, if people aren't shopping at Walmart, for those that are out of the US, Walmart is basically the lowest prices, or at least they try to be, right? So if you're not shopping at Walmart, you're basically paying a little bit more elsewhere. So if they're not selling well, you can only imagine that others would be bad too, right? I think Google dropped some earnings today, and I don't think they were great. But again, some fear might have been baked into a lot of these drops. But back to just the lines and the candles, right? Because that is the bread and butter. Look, there is clearly a nice uptrend going since this mid-June action started. It almost actually looks like there's another new steeper uptrend that we're building, but you know, it might be a little early for that one. At the minimum, we are still doing really well on this uptrend, and it looked like it was going to come down to test it. But again, like I said, today's 4% is just a monstrous gain. I've said it in past videos. The NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P, they should really be around 1% up, 1% down, you know, 0.5% up, 0.5% down, just nowhere near 2%, 3%, let alone 4%. So I do, like I said, I think this was an amazing answer to yesterday's fear. Looking at the actual moving averages, there's a lot of positivity here as well, right? I kind of talked about this mid-June being the start of the uptrend. It also really was the start of the reconquest of a lot of these moving averages, right? So we break the 8 here, and then we start getting a couple day confirmation as well as an attempt at the 20. You can kind of say that 20 is what slapped it down, right? I don't think if this 20 was that close, I think if this was the 20, we could have kept going up. But nonetheless, the 20 slaps it down. This 10.8 line probably saves it, and actually looks like it did right there. And, you know, we start this climb back up again where we kind of dance with the 8. We're dancing with this 50. We make an attempt right here. We make an attempt right here. A nice break here. And like I said, we've been over the 8 for most of these 7 days. It looks like really this day is the only outlier. And hey, we at least didn't get the confirmation today that we were going to lose it. We actually got the opposite, right? So we actually reconquered the 50, and it looks like we got a nice little bounce off the 50, right? So ultimately, we're going back up to this 1250, hopefully. What's this line here? I'll say, I think 12.1, and again, still a higher 12.1. But yeah, 12.1 could be a little bit of a break. Basically, this like little cluster of 3 here, but 12.2, that's our number. And I'm going to zoom back out. I don't have, oh, the other line, the next line up I got to zoom out to see what it is actually 14.7. So if we end up breaking or getting a little closer to 12.5, I'll see if we draw one more line here. You have not seen me draw a line on the NASDAQ yet. I've done it on the individual tickers, and obviously it's somewhat the same thing, but there's just a little different technique that I do with the NASDAQ. So as we get closer to 12.2, we might be doing that live on this video. Otherwise, these are still the only two. And I said it yesterday, you don't want to drown yourself in horizontal lines. It'll just get so silly. You won't really know what your entry line is, what your exit line is. It gets a little much. So don't overwhelm yourself too much. But yeah, 12.2. Again, the next one above that is 14, right? So yeah, we'll see. And hey, for all I know, there is no line in between those, right? Again, obviously you can make sub channels. We were talking about that 11.3, 11.5. I'm sure some numbers will come, but I do like to keep it a little minimal on these. But right now, again, like I said, ultimately with the looks of the moving averages, the looks of the two horizontal lines, and how it just looks like we're closer to 12.2, the NASDAQ is looking good, and techs were actually doing very well today. The MACD, look at that. Again, it looked like it was tipping down, and today's action really helped pull it up. We are pushing away from that zero line and now coming up to 100, right? We were at, you can still see it here, we were below -500 at one point. So look at that. I don't talk about the numbers a lot, but just the extremes of the negatives and the positives are at least well worth noting. So, ooh, excuse me. And then, you know, RSI doesn't look great. Obviously, you want the green over the red. But hey, we got a very nice pullback. And, you know, I've said it, right? The max is generally 80. That was a 75. You're going to expect a little bit of a cool down so you can get a nice little momentum push back up, right? And we will need good momentum to get over what seems to be an important support line. So NASDAQ is actually looking pretty good. I do want to just zoom out real quick. I will do this on the weekly, but let's just talk it on the daily, right? Do I need to zoom out more? No, that's about it. So we are still in a downtrend, right? Don't forget where we are. By no means don't underestimate what we're doing. We've not only made one nice uptrend, it seems like we've at least started working on another steeper uptrend, right? So there is some positivity there. Obviously, there's been points where we didn't do it, but look, we're trying to get back up, but by no means are we out of this downtrend. Very easily, we can make one more hit here, which would still be a very nice climb, but then make our way back down, right? So don't forget where we're at, okay? But ride the uptrend as hard as you can. I've said that on a number of videos. When things are good, you put your money in, right? When things are bad, you don't. So it looks like things are good. I'm going to just show the weekly real quick. Nice. So look at the weekly on the NASDAQ. Last week, we closed over the 8. This week looks to be that confirmation, right? Obviously, there's still a couple days. You know, we can definitely hit the tank the next 2 days and fall under, but not only are we over the 8, we're actually doing completely better than last week's candle, right? We started here, we're now this high. So seemingly that should give us a chance that next week as well could do well. So what line is this? 12.1. Again, let's see if we can get over 12.1. You know, obviously 12.2 would be even better, but a close at 12.1 would be pretty nice. So that's a pretty good view of the NASDAQ. Again, it's been a while since I did this, so we stayed a little bit longer there. I don't think the next two will take too long, because I imagine it'll be about the same story, right? Look at that. So the SP-500 has actually broken our line. So we made a test, and look, you can see this isn't the view I look at when I'm moving my money. I've shown this on a couple different videos, but I play around on the one. We're looking on chart readers here, obviously. So, but look at that. Hey, nice. So we made an attempt. We didn't break it, we came down, but look, the 50, just like it did with the NASDAQ, the 50 on the daily saved the SP-500, and we got a nice jump up, and it looks like we broke this line. Let me zoom out. Again, that seems like it might be a big distance, especially given how close these three are, but even between these two, yeah, I don't know. Again, let's see if we break it. If we get another day confirmation, I think I'll at least make another SP-500 line on these videos. So very cool to see, though. Nice. Hopefully you've been watching these videos. Nice. Again, pretty much same story on the MACD. Same story on the RSI. They're both under, but it did look like it wanted to come back if it had a good day, right? Same daily on the SP and the NASDAQ. Again, I'm going to just draw the trend lines so you see them. There's definitely an uptrend there, and then seemingly a steeper one there. But as we zoom out, sorry, it's my camera motion, we are definitely, bam, look at that. We're still in a downtrend, right? So don't underestimate where we are. We are still in a downtrend. Hey, if we keep going up, though, let's keep going up, right? Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I can see a couple places where I would draw my next horizontal line. Hopefully you see it too, right? If you do, you would probably at least, you've been watching enough of these, right? But yeah, I think let's see if we can break it, and then again, yeah, I think I'm going to put a couple more in the middle of this guy. And then let me undo. Let me go to this. Let's take a look at let me zoom in, and then let's take a look at the lower indicators. Oh, we did that already. It was the same thing. Okay, perfect. And then actually, no, before I go, let's also take a quick view at the weekly. Nice, look at that. Breaks the 8, gets a confirmation on the 8. We have a good chance. Now look, there are 2 moving averages on the weekly right here. Always hard to break one. When there's a cluster of 2, it's that much harder, right? But hey, if we can go up to there, and that's a good ride of at least another week or 2, right? So yeah. And then lastly, let's look at the DJ30, the Dow Jones Industrial. Okay, actually pretty much the same thing that we saw on the NASDAQ, right? So everyone at this point is over the 50 on the daily. That's beautiful. They're over the 8, they're over the 50, and they're over the 20, right? So everyone's basically on the way to the 100. So I love it when all the markets do the same thing. I will say the Dow Jones has been a little weirder than the other ones. So while the others go up a lot, the Dow Jones here is obviously only up 1.3. There were other days where the 2 were down. I know at least this day right here, all 3 of it was red on the 2 other ones. The Dow Jones obviously has a green day in the middle of that, right? So I always want to see consistency across the 3. The Dow's been an interesting one. It's kind of been lagging a little bit, but let's see if the lower indicators look the same. Nice. Again, the other ones have been around that positive 100, which is great to see. And then again, all of them are still under the red, but all of them seemingly look like they're peaking back up, right? So a lot of the same thing happening across. So just keep in mind where our horizontal lines are, where our moving average lines are, and it looks like if we can close well this next couple days, next week should be another great week, right? So ride the market as it goes. When it looks good, you put your money in and you buy tech. If NASDAQ's good, you buy the big boys with the SP-500 and the Dow Jones, right? If those are looking good, hey, maybe even start playing in the penny stocks, right? If all 3 are looking really good. But when things are bad, you do not go in with your money, right? So Again, all this said, there is no financial advice. This is just educational only, and I do hope you're learning. Have a great one.